Hello there and welcome back to another edition of a Silly Car Showdown. Today we are taking a look at the Datsun 240Z. This car was requested by Nick Takahashi, I believe I'm getting that right, and it is a pretty interesting one. I do quite like the 240Z, one of my more favourite of the Nissan sports cars we've had over the years. It's a very, very pretty car. Certainly, yeah, I do really like the 240Z, and back in its day it was one of the better sports cars of its time. 160 horsepower certainly is nothing to be shy about. In 1969, I believe, when this car came out. Of course, these Z cars would go on to multiply over the years. There was loads of them. I think we're currently on the Z34. So, and that is the 370Z, which seemingly is a car which has been in production the last 35,000 years. Anyways, let's go take a look and see what we can do to the Fair Lady Z. Now, there are a couple of interesting things about this car. Nick did mention to either build this car upon its stock engine or one of these specific engine swaps, which we are going to be swapping to. Our choices are the 3.2 litre inline-six, 6.2 litre V8, a 2.6 litre inline-six twin-turbo from a Nissan Skyline, or of course the ever-present Turbo Rally. Nick said either build it upon the stock engine or on the Nissan 2.6 litre inline-six, and that's what we're going to build it up on. Of course, no drivetrain swaps are allowed, and we do get wide bodies on this car. We actually get two. We have a choice of this Forza one, which adds some extra arches and costs nothing, or we can go for the Rocket Walker kit, whatever it's called. I'm going to go for the standard Forza one. Now, the Rocket Bunny kit does actually come with bigger tyres, but I'd rather use this kit. I think it's better, and also I think there might actually be a weight advantage for going for this one. Let me just take a quick sneak peek. Yeah, there is actually, I mean, it's only £5, but it is a weight advantage, and it's less predictable, so that's one we're going to go with. Anyways, we do also have quite a few different options in terms of customization. I'm going to go for that little light, because why not? The Rocket Bunny spoiler does not actually add any extra downforce, and I quite like the way it looks, so we'll go with that. I really like that. That looks awesome, so we're going to go with that. You can actually customize this thing into a proper little rally car, which I do like, although it does look a bit ridiculous on the skinny tyres, but we shall solve that now. Horizon race tyres, of course, as always, and the tyres on the front are going to be 255s, which is relatively respectable for a car like this, and 265s on the rear. I would prefer bigger tyres with the Liberty Bunny whatever kit. I believe it's 265s on the front and 285s on the rear, so it's not a massive advantage. It is certainly an advantage, and I do often try to give the cars, you know, the biggest advantage they can get, but in terms of this one, I just feel like it's better to run it with this kit. You know, if you want to see this car run again with a different engine and also that kit, you're more than welcome to request it again, but, you know, for right now, I prefer this. Alright, that being said, I'm not expecting this to be massively quick anyway. In terms of PI, we're not going to get much. In terms of power, I have no idea what this engine can do. It is a unique swap. It's only available for the Nissans. There is one other Nissan engine which is even more unique than that. This goes into the 240SX, and that's the S15 Sylvia's engine. But this one, I'm not actually sure. The graphs look relatively promising. PI is up to S1858. We end with 796 horsepower and 602 foot-pound torque. Okay, that's pretty respectable. 2,153 pounds of weight. At 4.7 seconds, 200 miles per hour top speed. Yeah, not the greatest stats in the world, but those are pretty good. And, you know, we've seen subdued cars like this with stats that aren't, you know, massively impressive do rather well previously. This series always throws up surprises. So it'd be interesting to see if this little 240Z ends up becoming one of those. But yeah, it is probably one of the best looking cars we've ever had on the show, if nothing else. I mean, I really like the way this paint job and the wide body and everything line up. It does actually look pretty cool, but Looking cool is one thing. The question is, will it look cool while also being quick around our track? Let's go find out. Okay, here we are at our Edinburgh course with our 240Z, which apparently has orange rally lights? Sure. Anyways, the car is going to get 5 laps at the best time it possibly can. Currently it is the Ferrari Huracan V12 GTE, which has a time of 1:35.743. The 240Z, very unlikely to beat that. In terms of where I think this car is going to go, I don't really know. It sort of depends sort of what the car drives like, in all honesty. Best case scenario, 149, I'd say. You know, somewhere around the Civic RS, I guess. Those are both, they're kind of similar. Both of them have wide body kits, both of them are old Japanese cars with newer Japanese engines in them. So I guess that would make more sense, but it really does depend on how the Datsun drives. So far though, it seems very nice indeed. Yeah, it's pretty good so far. Brakes are actually good, better than most of the cars I've driven recently. The Carlton had bad brakes, the 959 had bad brakes, the Minor had pretty good brakes. So it's nice to finally have a car that stops as well as it goes. Yeah, it feels pretty alright. Again, I can't get over how good it actually looks sort of set up like this. I've forgotten how good the 240Z looked when it was in sort of full rally attire. And I love this livery as well. I'm not actually sure what year this backdates to, I'm sure someone will educate me. But of course, as some of you may know, this livery is one of my more favourite. In fact, it's so favoured by me that I actually used it as the basis of one of the reverse geared cars that I use for the Top Gear Lap series. I have a 370Z with a Nismo kit that has this sort of livery on it. That looks pretty cool. 153 515 starts us off. So yeah, I mean a 150 would be around where I expect this car to be. We've not actually had a single car yet pull a exactly 150. We've got the Civic RS with a 149.2, and we've got the Traveller with a 151.007. But we've not had anything actually get a 150, so maybe this will be the car to do that. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean overall it's not especially quick, but then again, I mean it's only got, I say only, for the series I guess it's only, you know, it's only got 800 horsepower, or 796, and not all that much torque, and especially considering, you know, that torque and everything's got to go through some, on the grand scheme of things, pretty small rear tyres. You know, we're not expecting a blistering lap time out of this, but it does deal with it pretty well. The RB is definitely, you know, it is obviously a turbo engine, and, you know, 30 pounds boost, a decent amount of boost. You can feel the boost when it really spools up through the rear wheels. It is sort of one of those cars which does spin the wheels. You can really feel it. It's one of those cars, I've described this before with the Fox body, actually. That was a car which really felt like if it had less power, it may have very well done slightly better. This feels like a car which has just got a little bit too much power for it. You know, maybe if this car had 500, 600 horsepower, it could be good. Maybe with this stock engine. I mean, the stock engine, I actually base built it while I was deciding what to do, because occasionally I'd like to use stock engines because it feels more authentic to the car. It actually got 430 horsepower, I think it was. You know, with something like that, this could actually be a quick car. Sorry, not a quick car, but more controllable. Might even be quicker, just because it's more controllable. But the way it is at the moment, this does feel like it's a little bit too much power for it to handle, but it's honestly not that much. And I mean, with some throttle control, you can certainly get it down. It's just a case of you can really feel those turbos spool up, and when they're spooling, they making the car slidey. So it's something to bear in mind. But I mean, overall, the actual driving of this thing, it's just quite nice. It's strangely relaxed. You know, again, 800 horsepower, 240Z should be a recipe for disaster, but it actually feels pretty composed. pretty likable. You know, the 240Z historically is a pretty good handling car. I've driven enough of these in Forza, and for the most part they can cope with quite a lot of stuff you can throw at them. They're really a good car to sort of build up if you need something which you're not really sure on what you want to do with it, especially for lower class racing. You know, if you want like a C class, B class, maybe even an A class car, the 240Z can be a valuable asset to you. Because you have, you know, the additions of the wide body kits. You have quite a bit of room for customization. You saw there, you know, you saw on the engine swap screen, you got plenty of engines to pick from if you want a new engine, or you can customize the stock engine, you know, and the stock engine's a pretty good engine. 160 horsepower stock for this era is pretty good. A 149 114, okay, never mind. Apparently the best way to drive this car is to not think about driving this car. That does put it quicker than the Civic, which is good. Actually puts it quicker than the Gremlin as well, so that's interesting. I don't think it's going to go quicker than the Cayman, which would be the next car up, but you never know. It is pretty good though, you know. The Datsun is a car which you can build up and do quite a lot to, and do whatever. I've built a few of these in my time. I remember in the Forza Motorsport 1 Let's Play, I actually built one of these up. That was a bit more manic. These two cars kind of remind me of each other. I believe that one might have actually used an R34's drivetrain as well. Could be wrong on that. I might have used the Sylvia, but either way, I remember that being a crazy 700 horsepower death-dealing machine. This isn't quite as mental as that one, but it's still, yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a cool car, there's no denying that. I love the yellow rally lights as well, they're ridiculous. If I can find a way to incorporate that into its leaderboard name, I will do. But, yeah, it's surprisingly good. Surprisingly. Delightful Datsun, there you go. The delightful Datsun 240Z. Because, I don't know if I'd go as far as delightful. Again, it's not a great driving car. It's not, you know, Subaru Impreza, the Fox body, you know, those are all cars which I deem to be some of the best we've driven. The limo, believe it or not, also is kind of up there. Obviously, you know, the Huracan, but it's not far off. It's definitely one of the better driving cars I've driven, and one that I almost feel like it's one of those cars where you could sort of forget you're driving it for as long as you do. You might have had this before, I'm not sure. Whenever you're hot lapping a car on Forza or something like that, you just sort of lose track of time, and before you know it, you've done 30-40 laps in a car. It feels like the sort of car you could do that for, because every time you sort of go around a corner, you're learning a little bit about the car. You're learning bits and bobs, but it's still pretty easy to drive. And you know, you might notice I'm more talkative in this than I am usually, because it's a more relaxed car to drive. It's one I can honestly see myself getting into a rhythm with and just enjoying the drive. Which isn't something you can usually say about cars here on Silly Car Showdown, but you can certainly say about this old Datsun. And I know I'm probably annoying people by calling it a Datsun 240Z, but that's what I know it as. So, yes, technically I know in the game it's the Nissan Fairlady Z432 or something like that, but I don't care. Datsun 240Z is what this car is to me. And it's what I grew up with, knowing this car. It's what it was on Gran Turismo 2, so that's why I call it what I call it. Anyways. Meanwhile, there's probably some people, mostly English people, who are like, yeah, hell yeah, call it Datsun. That's cool. They should bring back Datsun. Datsun's such a great name for a vehicle. What do you drive? A Datsun. So much better than what do you drive? A Nissan. Like, yeah. Nissan's a bit tainted for me anyway. A 149 114 is our final time. That last lap was relatively quick, but not quite as quick as that one. Not by much though. Yeah. A good car, certainly. There's no doubting the fact that it's a good car, not the best car, not the worst car. Again, it's one that I'd be curious to drive in different configurations. I'd be curious to see what this car is like. Both with less power and maybe with more. Maybe if you stuck with V8 in it, this thing could be a little pocket rocket in terms of overall speed, because that V8 can get a hell of a lot of power. But alas, this is what we've done with it for now, and I'm very happy to honour Nick's request of giving this thing Nissan engines, because they feel a bit right. And the RB30 is a relatively unique engine. Anyways, a 149 or 114 would put it into... not there. I'm being stupid. Hold on. Bollocks. 149, 114 will put it into 13th place. It goes in between the Porsche Cayman GTS and the V12 AMC Gremlin. Yeah, a pretty good time. Slightly quicker than the Civic RS, which again is the most equatable car to this. The Civic could actually be quicker. The Civic was one of those cars which I kind of felt bad for because I let it down a little bit, but those the ropes occasionally. Yeah, a pretty solid time. Actually puts it directly square in the middle of the leaderboard, which is interesting. It's also not too far off the Carlton from last time. So yeah, a pretty good car to drive. No real qualms on this one. One that I do recommend you try out yourself. Give this a go, see, you know, play around with it, build it up, see what you can do. And yeah, anyways, thank you all very much for watching. As always, if you want to request cars for this series, you can do so down below on the comment section on either my channel or on this video when it's uploaded to HD Central. You can also do it in my Discord server in the request chat, which I would prefer you do because it allows me to keep a track of them. If you've enjoyed me, my name's Emile. If you're watching this on HD Central, there's a link to my channel in the description. If you're watching this on my channel, then click the thing below. It's not hard. Yeah, I upload subpar content, and you'll also get these videos a day or so earlier, which is nice. Yeah, until next time, farewell.